Hi, y'all. It's Brigitte Cutshall with Real Things Living. Today, my guest is Michelle Bishop. She is a certified master life coach and the author of Choose You First. I'm so glad to have connected with her because we have a lot more in common than people realize. Can you say hi, Michelle?
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I am so glad to be here. Thank you so much, Bridget, for having me on your show.
I love learning and meeting new people. That's what we were saying before I hit record. It's so important to learn from stories just in general, and everybody goes down a different path in life, but we all have something in common, right? And
Absolutely.
I guess my first thought that came to mind was what chose you to write the book Choose You First? Because I'm sure it's related to your life coaching.
Yeah, well, actually, it's the life coaching became uh a desire because in the United States, you're not required by state or federal licensing to be considered a coach. And so, out of the need for expertise, knowledge, competency, everyone's life is precious. So, it was really independently, I sought out what would be the best avenue for me to go in after I wrote the book. And it was just screaming life coaching. And the International Federation of Coaching is the only ICF, International Coaching Federation, is the only kind of body that is recognized as a certification of what life coaching is about. So that's the avenue I went. But it was after I wrote the book that I knew that that was something that I wanted to pursue. And the drive to choose you first was, it came to me simply because my whole life of 59 years, I had chosen everyone else except myself first. And I really didn't know who I was until after I had lost the love of my life and my husband in a tragic accident that left me breathless. And I was like, who am I? And it really was a lot of soul searching in 5 years and determining being a daughter, being a sister, being a mother, being a girlfriend, being a wife, being a business person, all of these masks that I'd put on for others. And in turn, I left myself empty because I was going, going, going. And a lot of times people think self love, self care is selfish. And it is really my mission to explain to people how it is not selfish. It's selfless because as you are fuller and in your more authentic self, you can give so much more to everyone that you choose to do that, but you have to choose yourself first.
I like that point. I think women in general follow down that path too. We try to help too many other people. We forget about taking care of ourselves. And it's the mother in us. Doesn't matter if you have real children or not, right?
Exactly. I totally agree with that.
I'm guilty of what you're saying, putting others first, and I don't know why it's ingrained in us. I don't know if it's I just don't know. Depends on your upbringing, I guess. You just want to help. And I think it's okay, but like you said, you still need to go choose you first. That way you'll have this energy to
Well,
help.
and again, it was my time in life. And it's interesting because I really thought and sharing my multiple experiences through my childhood, through my teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, that maybe I might yield my audience to that of 40 plus in the demographics. And quite frankly, I am just so blessed in so many ways because our young leaders in women, which I have two, I have a 25-year-old and a 27-year-old, and they're just rock women. I love it. And their group is really looking to yearn to learn from others. And so they don't make the same pitfalls. And I think that that is awesome. And I love the energy in which everyone in every decade brings to our community as conversation. So we can all gain.
And we can definitely learn from each other, each generation. I'm still learning. I have sons. I don't have daughters. I was meant to be a mom boy, but I learned from them,
Sure.
right? And they learned from me, and my mother's still with me. Well, not me, you know what I'm saying? I learned from all those stuff that she went through. She's in her 80s,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you could imagine that that's a different kind of story, but she was a good role model for me, even though I probably I had an attitude as a teenager, like
Who doesn't?
my poor mom. But anyway, even though I was very helpful, I was too blunt sometimes with asking questions. But I think that as me being me, right? Um, but you do have to choose you first. I like how you found your voice too. Really going through life.
And
And
it is a voice that often we don't speak up. And it was very important for me to put the light in the closet and let it all shine. And it's such a freedom for everyone if, quite frankly, you have the courage, because you will find such hope in that light, such uh love in that light. And it may sound very cliche, but quite frankly, it's a freedom of being yourself and flying and soaring, and just the people that you surround yourself and the life choices that you make are so incredible, that they could be so different being your true authentic self.
that's true. I was just I don't know. I like being open to this kind of stuff. And some people don't want to share much at all, which is okay. But your coaching is probably helping them open up, right?
Right. Well, I mean, it's all a choice.
Correct.
You know, I mean, that's where it first starts, is choosing you first. And what I'm always explaining to people is it's like a diet. My life is not a diet, it's a lifestyle. And I lost 112 pounds, and I'm a fine 5 foot frame. So that is a full person on my size. And everybody's like, oh, they're so excited about the weight loss. But it really came about letting go, and from the inside, all the weight and armor that I had carried throughout my lifetime, that I shed in my choice to choose me first. And now I don't take blood pressure medicine, and I was on the highest dosage, and they were looking to doing shots. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I'm a long hauler COVID survivor.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so, it's really about a health journey. And my whole lifestyle is not about going on some drastic diet. I made small changes, and it's truly a lifestyle. Now, did I have to change my habits? 1,000% I did. But I chose to do that for myself. And in turn, I get that opportunity to help others in that choice for them. And it doesn't mean, hey, you've got to like go to these drastic programs to lose a lot of weight, because it's not sustainable. And life, whatever choices you make, must be sustainable for success.
Right. I'm with you on the small steps, a little bit at a time. That's how it's going to stick, right? It's not if you try to do a drastic change. Well, sometimes that happens in life, but I meant like you did for your health. um, you got to do small steps. And I, like you, I've had cancer a couple of times, but not entered, I did a integrative kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had to do the regular stuff just because it was aggressive, but then I had an integrative, um, a holistic epidemiologist, and he helped me find out, Bridget, you can't be, right. I had to have help because I wouldn't have found that out on my own. And that was hard to get off. Like dairy was an issue for me.
Uh-huh.
And but my body always says don't eat it. that they always told us too, marketing wise, right? In our
Right.
country. And it was not Bridget's body's like, no, thank you. And,
Right.
but I had to be open, like you said, to getting that assistance and help. And
And
otherwise
that
I
is
wouldn't
the
have,
first step. Is
it is, got to ask for help. And mine was, I wasn't looking for, curing symptoms. I was looking for the cause. Uh, and this, everybody doesn't have one cause. Everybody's body is different, as you know, and we respond differently to everything. And that's why choose you first and be you is kind of goes in line with each other. I'm trying
that what you're saying about that holistic aspect? In my cancer journey, I worked with a fantastic team, and they did integrate the Western medicine and the Eastern medicine,
right.
the holistic aspect of things. And I think that our medical community is becoming more open to
Yes.
alternative choices. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I think it really is about the combination. And I do see medically that things are becoming much more honed in to an individual body
Yes.
as opposed to these demographics, like between ages X to Z type of thing, and female and your height. And they're really listening and listening. And that we have so much more that we can gain knowledge from and be able to utilize what works. And what I always say to everyone, in any choice that you make, when you make small pivots of change, and let's say it doesn't work, what is the worst alternative? You take a step back. No harm, no foul. You've been there before, but then you don't stay stagnant. You make a different choice, or maybe you adjust that choice. You get those opportunities as long as you do not remain stagnant in the place that you're at.
Right. That'll just make you not move. You're just gonna continue doing the same thing and you're not gonna make any progress. It's just, I love how you're talking about the integrate, I call integrative, and it is just so important because I don't know about you, when you had the cancer, they did genetic testing on me and but they said mine wouldn't be accurate because I have Asian in me. So
Oh,
it's just like, okay, I can't help it. But
right.
so that shows you they need to improve on some of the research, but it just turns out we don't know. It's a combination of things. And so I was curious. So that you have to be curious, right? If you're dealing with something, you have to be open to that. That's my thing in life. Got to be curious still. And
I love that.
you have to be because I joked that I was a PETA. You know what that means?
Yes.
So I met with so many different specialists because all these, I have other things that were going on, brain tumor and all this stuff. And I know you had like a brain injury, but brain tumor was very rare. And we didn't, it's very rare. And so that was really the root cause of everything. I didn't know I had it. And who knows how it got, again, that's not a genetic thing. That's why a lot of our issues can be related to a combination of environmental and genetic, but
Well,
everybody's
and
different.
you're right. And you said genetics. I do not carry the BRCA gene.
Right, me either. Right.
Right.
And I had this brain tumor which pushed and caused make my hormone. Yeah, I didn't know I had this. This is why you need to have be preventative and have your checkups. That's kind of try to find it sooner rather than later.
Sure.
That's what I believe in. And I learned that from my, experience. No one in my family, either side, has this, right?
Right.
And I think it's just becoming more common. Maybe because we're living longer. I don't know. I'm just being funny, but
No, it's true though. We are. I mean, and think about the way that medicine was in our past. I mean, we have made leaps and bounds in all areas of medicine. And it does give us longevity, but we still have to be our own advocate.
yes.
And we have the opportunity to research and do the things and ask for help. And look, knowledge is power. It really is. And again, you get the choice to incorporate it or not. And if you so choose, and that, we're in a place that we're able to do that, which we should feel very grateful. I feel like, oh wow, there's some places that offer nothing. There's still, I remember I went to an island and the doctor really was still utilizing herbs and didn't have any type of real modern medicine at all. He was in a grass hut. And so these are, depending upon where you are in the world, you have to maximize whatever opportunities that you have. And so I applaud all areas of our world, and for those caring people that want to see things better for other people. We're all
I,
healers in a way.
correct. And I like how your mindset has a lot to do with helping your body heal. I mean, it's not going to do it 100%, but you also mentioned the hope and the light earlier. I believe in that as well. When I was going through my issues, I had my sons were they were young. And so that was my hope. That was my light. I'm like, I'm going to be their mother. That's kind of how I saw it. And so that's probably why my curiosity emerged, right? You have to, was that silent warrior technique? I don't know, but right. So the
Yeah,
mindset,
right, right. Well, and that technique really, and I'm hearing more and more about, it's something that I created because I really did in all of our life experiences. We there's a lot of noise, a lot of noise. And if you suffer from anxiety, which I have, and I still have to do these exercises every day. I mean, this is not just something like I said, it's a lifestyle. And in that, to silence the noise, I've utilized breath work and I hear about it now, everybody's like, oh, breath work, oh, breath work. I'm like thinking to myself, oh, well, I've been doing that mostly just as a survivor. And then now I'm thriving through it and I do it so automatically. So if you incorporate these things, they actually become just an automatic part of your life. But I'm a big thing about taking in the chaos of life to quiet the life down is to breathe in life through your nose and recognize this is life. We wake up, we sleep, we have to breathe. It's a very simple thing, but just to breathe in life and just hold it, recognize it, be in silence, and then exhale all that doesn't serve you.
correct. It kind of cleanses you a little,
It,
right?
it really does. It is like for me as well as many, and sometimes it'll click and I'll be okay. And sometimes I might take a daggum half an hour or more, just saying, put me in a room of silence. Let me get a little breath work in there because life throws us curveballs. And you know what? That's okay. It's all how you respond to that. And truly having this type of peace and silence and making those decisions certainly makes things a lot easier. And I'm a big person about feeling safe. And if I don't know what to do, what I suggest everyone to do is to do nothing. Just give yourself a moment. We're all about instant gratification. And it's like sometimes what happens in that chaos of instant gratification is not what you want as the end result. So if you just take those moments and then take a pause and move through them, it just gives your brain an opportunity to regulate your body, your thoughts, your emotions. So I really do believe wholeheartedly that we work in our blessed place of alignment when we ourselves are aligned. And so we have to choose that.
Like as you were talking, it made me think people worry about things they don't have control over as well. That adds its unnecessary stress. I don't. watch the news because life has always been chaotic. It just seems, like you said, all the noise and people are trying to get attention for some reason. So I've always, I think you're similar. I kind of want, I like to stay in the background a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That's
You're
just,
right.
I'm more comfortable for some reason with that because it reduces unnecessary stress, right?
Well, I think whatever choices that we make, be it in the forefront or in the background, you know, you have to be you. And I believe to live your best you have to be authentic. And so
Yes.
that is your authentic self. And that's where you're comfortable. Sometimes it might be helpful to stretch yourself out of that comfort zone because you could grow from that. And so I don't think that either way is right or wrong. It's just what's best for you at the pace and time and choice that you want to do that.
And it's got to be the right moment. It's not, I like to speak, I like to talk, obviously, but at the same time, I don't want to travel across the world and be some famous speaker. That's kind of what it to me when I was younger, it would have been different.
Hmm.
But I'm going to be 6.0 next month. And,
Oh yeah, we're right there together here.
right, 6.0. And so I'm like, it just, we learn so much and we're trying to just help again, but take care of us ourselves first, because that's how you're gonna be a good role model. And my understanding is you have to do what you say, right? And not just
Right.
talk about it. Is that another example?
Yeah. Yes.
You you gotta walk the talk. Is that the right word? Sorry, I couldn't think of the tagline. But
No, I mean it's really you know, everyone has such a gift given to us from the moment that we're born. And I've always felt a very spiritual presence in my life. And in that, I really understand what my calling is. And this is a legacy for me to live authentically and to help others and to have my children, to understand it's really so important to me. It feels exactly what I was meant to be from the beginning of my life. And I am so grateful to have that opportunity and that there's absolutely no way I'm shying away. You can just bring it on. I'm not going to shy away because everyone out there is worth it.
that's true. And I'm glad you brought that up. It just made me think, why do people struggle to feel the worthy of love and happiness? I don't understand. Is it our culture? Is it the social media? All this stuff? It's probably a combination.
Right. And often we'll talk about the break that, you have to take from the noise of social media and news, and everyone's different. They actually digest it differently in their mind and their body. So, there can be toxicity in that. And so it's really the path in which you choose to travel, knowing that that path can change, very easily by just making small pivots of change.
I've had some people, or I read that to stay away from negative people. I don't push people away. I just don't respond to them if they say something I don't agree, because I don't want to cause chaos, more tension. Excuse me, I almost said chaos. I just like, I just don't. I just say okay, I'll just. But then I try to move on. But I don't push people away. Everybody has. I just try to be open to talking to different people, because we learn from that. And we all have different upbringings. I know my understanding is you dealt with abuse when you were younger. I dealt with it, meaning I was bullied because my mom is half French and half Vietnamese, and I was born in the 60s, and you can just imagine after being like, it's not my fault that this stuff was, but I don't understand why those people, they're taking it out for some reason, right? On someone who was different like me. But I'm just sharing this real quickly. I was not involved during the desegregation period. They had me Right. You understood it. They had me, I lived in the white neighborhood and they put me into the black schools. Right. But you know what, Michelle, the black students, whatever, they were nicer to me. That isn't that weird?
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe those other people were just jealous because my mom didn't have a Southern accent. You know, I'm trying to say I grew up in the South. I don't understand so I just learned, I would just blow it off. I'm like, "Oh, whatever." And, but that kind of affected me in a good way. I learned from that. So I didn't like push back at them. And I'm thinking they have something wrong. Why are they pushing it back on other people?
Right.
I'm sure.
I do believe in negative in breeds negative out.
Right.
Positive in breeds positive out. And so I understand that, but I am like you, very open to everyone's individual opinion. And I am respectful of that. And I have absolutely no problem agreeing to disagree. You know, it is a very, effective wording. You know, it's like, hey, I respect where you're coming from. I would appreciate you respecting where I come from. And I think that we can meet in a point that we can agree to disagree. And and truly, I think as opposed to standing on point and being confrontation, it kind of like deflates that and says, okay, we're all on even ground here, but we're just not on the same ground. Now, I may not choose to have them as part of my inner circle because it's not feeding what I need for my best life. But I have no disrespect. And quite frankly, as a reciprocation of that, I probably am not someone they want in their inner circle.
You
And
don't know.
so it works out great, and we both learn from each other. So I really do. I'm grateful for the diversification that we all bring to the table. And that is why we are uniquely perfect in our imperfections.
As you were saying that, I like maybe think that words matter and that helps you be more respectful. Even it doesn't matter if you're on the same page, right? Words matter and we got to respect each other. I don't like to give my opinion, right? Because I don't think opinions are helpful if you share them. It just depends, again, on the situation. If someone asks me, I might. But there's a lot of times I say I don't know enough to give an opinion.
Well, and sometimes those are the facts.
Hmm.
I mean, I think that's a fair position to be in.
Hmm.
I don't feel like I have enough information to actually form a articulate opinion. I totally respect that. But sometimes you may have an opinion. But if you do have an opinion, I think that first you must be in a safe environment to be able to express that.
That's
And
true.
and that physically, emotionally, mentally, those are very important things of all that you do. And so if you're not in that position and you're putting yourself in harm's way, I say back off, for yourself, because you've got to put yourself first, choose you first.
Right. That's
So,
true. True.
yeah. And so, but if you are in an environment, your opinion does matter because you might bring enlightenment to that person that they didn't even know. And so I don't hold back. I mean, it's so funny because I'm like, I am an open book. You want to
Yes.
know about me? I am an open book. Not
Right.
just I say it, I literally am. And so I'm like, I have nothing to hide. I was like, it's all out. And it's a freedom to truly be authentic. And I get these opportunities like with you to just really express my heart to everyone and say, look, this is who I am. I want to help. Do you want help? How can we make that journey happen for you?
So is that perspective is something you've always been your whole life or a certain phase in your life that you're more open? I was just curious.
Hilarious. Great question, Bridget. Absolutely, positively, no way, no how. I was like, I had a mask on for who I thought this person wanted to see. I had a mask on for this person and that person. I didn't even know who I was. So and it's because I felt in my head the racket that happens and the stories that you tell yourself. Oh, they want this or they want that. And I never, if I was in an environment, I would certainly not give my opinion, or sometimes I would over give my opinion.
Right.
I mean, it's like there was no middle ground and my delivery was horrible. So I just, I shut down a lot in different phases in my life. But when you are living your true self, there's nothing to lose.
I felt, as you were saying, I not grew up, it's in the corporate world as a woman.
Sure.
And so I had to be perfect. And so that, right, you had to have that persona. I am perfect. And I'm like, and that probably wasn't helpful. It's probably causing internal, should say stress, but I wasn't like you said, I would say too much sometimes, but then like, okay, then I'm like, you know what? I don't care about being perfect. And it was my sons that are the ones that encouraged me to be more open about everything, which I started blogging 2009. And so that was like, wow, I needed this we mentioned earlier, the younger generation, like you need to share this, people are learning from that. And I think it's being Bridget and you're being Michelle. And
Right.
that's what we need more of. I like that we need more of this kind of stuff. We need to understand to help create, what's the word? Connection, more positive connection. We need to be connected. I think everybody blames everything on COVID. COVID has nothing, it didn't help. But I think that's a lesson I've can't even take, is that we need to continue having that connection. That is so important to
Well,
our well-being, right?
as you were saying about the corporate world, I'd worked as a babysitter in a retail store, and at 18 hit the ground running working. So I had a successful career in sales all my life. And then it wasn't until 2016, and I did have breast cancer, that I finally allowed my husband to I gave up that security. But I loved it. I loved being in the corporate world, but I was a sole female mainly in
Right.
male environment. And fortunately, I had my teenage years with my father raising me, who was a very successful trial lawyer. And I'm the oldest of three girls, and he never shied away from the boardroom talk. So I was pretty well familiar with, what environment I was in. I think that it does create a lot of stress. I love that we are evolving in business. I do see, there was one point that women were not supportive of other women because we would be pitted off against each other. And there were so many, few spots and available. So I see more collaboration, support. I'm very encouraged about the professional opportunities for us as females. The chief executive suites are becoming, and the board rooms are becoming much more filled. That's not grammatically correct. I just want you to know. That's my baby girl coming out of me. My littlest, who's now 25, used to say, "Much more better, mommy, much more better." So it's
got better. It's improved.
Yes. But it's funny that it's just a family thing that we say, but it has improved dramatically. And I do believe that the lines between male and female are becoming somewhat blurred in the executive realm, and each are appreciating what individually one may bring. So I want to be part of that too. I want to try to encourage it because it can create a tremendous amount of stress, and that will manifest itself in disease.
Right. I'm not saying it, or I could have, like I said, hold it inside. And I grew up, like I mentioned, I was a military brat, so I grew around all this. You got to be tough, and that was partly part of the reason. Right? You're around that environment, and I have an older brother, and I'm grateful for they protected me as a girl. But when I got into corporate world, I did a really great job because I was got to keep pushing. And
Yeah.
but I was told one vice president said I was too nice to be successful, and I was being Bridget. And so I about 10 years later, I saw him at an event in New York, and he asked me why I was there for, Michelle. That guy, I said, I'm one of the main speakers, and I wanted to give him, hi, middle finger. I was kidding. But that
Yeah.
was my reaction. I just smiled and
Yeah.
polite. I'm like, oh, I'm just one of the main speakers today.
Yeah.
But that, in a way, I didn't take his criticism as bad, but I'm like, it just motivated me. I'm going to continue being nice because that's what people want.
Well, that's what you want.
Yes, that's what I want. I'm going to continue being. That's when I learned slowly. And then I had another manager. He said, you're going to be good. And he goes, because you are a woman. So I was just getting different feedback. It just depended on their background. Right. And I was just very fortunate. I appreciate that military brat background. It made me stronger. And maybe that's why I question things too much. But
Well, and if we don't know things, like you were saying about your opinion, I don't possibly know enough to give a valid opinion on this particular subject.
right.
Unfortunately, when we came into business those many, many years ago,
Yes.
nobody knew what the heck was going on because we were completely new in this environment. They were completely new and
Having a
experienced.
woman. Right.
Yes. So it's like, so we probably said a lot of stuff we probably shouldn't have said.
Exactly. I'm sure I did, Michelle.
And I'm sure our managers did, and the med coworkers and all that. So and it makes us just, we look back at those times, and it creates who we are today.
I appreciate it all now. I think they did trust me. It just some of the people said the wrong thing, and who knows what I said back. I don't recall that, but I enjoyed the field that I was in, right? And it was related to publishing, and so that was like the world to me because I was a book nerd, and so it was like I hit the, you know, I just want people to find what that's probably what you're doing, what they enjoy, in especially in our chapter in life. You're helping women over for mostly women, right? Is what I'm assuming.
It is, and I would say it's women of multiple 20 and up, but it's also interesting that I have also resonated with men. So I mean, obviously, it's coming from a woman's point of view. So I don't expect, but I think that that's wonderful that there are men that want to be enlightened about
They
another
need it.
person. Yeah. And so
They
they're like, hey, I've experienced that. And I was like, oh, well, share that with me because their perspective counts too.
we need to support each other, and I think that's what's caused some problems. My understanding of corporate, we're trying to be too separate, but we need to support each other. And I was really fortunate to have managers who supported who I was. And they are everybody's experience is unique. We just need to, like you mentioned earlier, to pause, think about it, and then you kind of reflect on it, and then you move forward on what you want to do next. And
Right.
I think my understanding is what's kind of scary for people now working is because of this technology, constant changes. That's, I think, part of the problem. I should say problem, or adding to the issue. And that's why I'm so glad I have my sons because I'm like, I have to help me understand this. But I know enough to be dangerous on technology. I joke about that. But who knows what's going to be like in a couple of years? It just seems to be faster. And I think that's why what you're doing is helping people just to pause and breathe, right?
Right.
That'll help you get through all these changes.
Well, technology is definitely at warp speed,
Yes.
and it's not going to change. And so, as you know, which is great because there are experts that are on it all the time. And so, you know, you're only capable of being your best you. And if that includes that, embrace it. If it doesn't, embrace what you can or you choose to do. And so we can't be great at all things. And that's why having a inclusive, not exclusive community of support is so important. And that doesn't mean just within your own 10-mile radius always.
Right.
You can make it way outside that, but it's what you're comfortable with.
I like that. And that makes me think of what do you think is one step the listeners can take toward self-empowering themselves today? What is one step you think?
I think that no, I'm going to back up. I'm going to say, I know our greatest holdup in moving forward stems from fear. And it can be loud in your head and it can get very large. The best thing for listeners to do is accept it and then let it go and say, okay, worst case scenario is this doesn't work. Worst case scenario is I changed this part of my life that was really causing a lot of angst for me. Woo-hoo. So the possibilities are all over the spectrum. And you deserve that opportunity in life to live it and not be held back from that fear.
I love that. That's a great way to wrap things up because fear just holds so many people back. And you are going to self-empower yourself if you kind of do what Michelle just mentioned. I think is so helpful. So where can people learn more about you, Michelle? Where can they reach you?
I truly believe the best way to reach me is on my website, bishoplife.com. And that'll give you links to my Instagram, which is Michelle Bishop Life, and my Facebook, which is Michelle Bishop Life. And those you can Google search me, but certainly that'll also put you in link for my book, Choose You First, which has been on the top of Amazon Read for inspiration as well as motivational. And I'm very excited and I appreciate all the support by everyone out in that community. And like I said, I don't look at my community within my 10-mile radius. I look at it throughout the world.
I love that. This conversation has been very inspiring and we have a lot in common, Michelle. Really, truly have a lot in common. And I like connecting with people from my generation too.
I know.
This has been really helpful. And for those that are listening, I'll include the links that Michelle mentioned in the description. And hope you guys have a wonderful day and just keep moving forward, right?
Yes. Have your blessed life.
Thank you, guys.